Hi everybody, today we are going to have some fun painting playful dogs. The process is, as usual, very simple, and I'm sure you'll be able to follow along regardless of whether you're new to painting, have no art background, or just feel unsure about your skills. This approach is similar to the animal portraits we have done before, but this time we're adding a more whimsical and cheerful touch. So I intend to keep it playful without making it too juvenile. Nothing wrong with that style, of course, but my goal here is to create something you'd be happy to hang in your living room, not just in a child's bedroom. So to start, I kept the drawing very basic and started painting using just flat blocks of color. The texture comes entirely from the paint itself and the brush strokes. There's a little trick here I used with the stripes. They angle slightly at the ends to give the illusion of fabric bending, but if you look closely, the lines are actually straight. The effect is all in how they end. And I decided to change the background color to something warmer. It helps bring energy and makes the piece feel more inviting. While blue is my favorite color, I find warm tones work better when you're decorating a space. When it comes to painting portraits, many people quit easily because they look for likeness rather than focusing on what really matters, which is capturing the personality of the subject. What makes a portrait truly special isn't how precisely it matches a photo. It is the emotion it carries. This is your personal tribute to your subject, and that's what makes it meaningful. And remember, painting is not about perfection, it's about emotion. Next up is a little bug. A little tip for the glasses. I made a paper template so that the shape would be symmetrical on both sides. And again, the body is just blocked out flat colors. This one turned out a bit more youthful than I originally planned, but it's a good example to show you how playful and fun these portraits can get. For shadows, I applied a soft amber wash. You can achieve this look with just water, as I did here, treating acrylics almost like watercolor, or you can use a pouring medium for more control and translucency. The only thing is that you need to wait until the base layers are completely dry before adding this. Both work well, okay? I changed the background here also because cooler tones just didn't fit the mood of this playful piece. And all the texture and volume come from the paint and the brushwork. You can achieve this same effect with watercolors, wash, acrylics, or even oils. The main difference is how fast each medium dries and how easily they blend. Now, the third painting of the day, the Whippet. Originally, this was going to be a pit bull with a floral crown, but the long neck made it look more like a Whippet, so I embraced the happy accident. This one has a bit more detail with shadows and highlights. And I did that to show you just how a few extra touches can change the overall aesthetics of the piece, even when the composition is still essentially flat. The flowers were painted using the same technique we use in our florals, okay? Simple dabs for the petals and leaves. The rose might seem tricky, but it's just a red circle with a darker center and a few highlights. The key is to pair your shadows and highlights closely so everything feels cohesive. A quick tip: don't overdo the flowers. The dog's face should be the focal point. Too many flowers and your playful dog becomes a hidden dog, and you don't want that, do you? And once again, I added an umber wash later for depth, but it is still a very simple and clean approach, okay? So next up, we have our poodle. My goal was to add personality without going too realistic, which can be tough when painting fluffy white dogs. Shadows can quickly make it look overworked, so I kept it simple. But to add a little bit of visual interest, I added a pair of glasses. And for those, I used a small cup to trace the lenses so they'd be the same size. So to make them look more stylish, I thickened the top part of the frame and thinned the bottom. So while I waited for the paint to dry, I added simple gold accessories like the necklace and buttons, but they are just flat ochre circles with an umber shadow and a touch of cream for highlights. Very quick, very easy, and very effective. Once the frame was dry, I painted the lenses using a very watered down green wash. It's the same trick that I use for the shadows with umber color, just enough to be translucent and give the effect of the glass. I thought about making him look like a glam rock singer, but he ended up looking a bit like one of the Golden Girls from the old TV show. I think he still looks fun and funny. Anyway, and finally, the Bull Terrier. I simply couldn't resist. Bull Terriers are wonderfully simple to draw. Just a big oval for the head and a small nose and eyes, and you're almost there. And to make things even easier, I added a beanie hat. It hides the ears and helps balance the composition. And again, I chose a warm background and painted the beanie in a dark navy to complement the white fur. You might have noticed I basically use the same earthy tones across all my pieces, and that's intentional. I love this palette, of course. It's versatile, it's warm, and it goes well with most interiors. But there's another reason for this. It helps you track your progress. As your style evolves, you'll notice changes in how you express yourself through your painting. If you change colors, you might think that that was the only thing that has changed. So, by keeping your palette steady, it makes it easier to notice improvements in your shapes, in your compositions, and your overall technique. I originally planned to keep this one flat like the first dog, but I added some highlights, especially on the nose, to bring a bit more of visual appeal to it. Once it dried, I added my usual amber highlights. Umber is warmer than black and helps avoid that dull gray look you get when you use black for shadows, okay? Here they are, the final results. I hope this inspires you to create your own playful dog portraits. And as you can see, they are simple to do, and often the simpler, the better. As always, keep on practicing and thank you for joining us.